Welcome to The Bestie Perspective, a raw, unfiltered space where we explore the mind-body-spirit connection. Every week, we dive into personal growth, holistic healing, and life's ups and downs to inspire, support, and remind you you're never alone on this journey. Hey besties, thank you for joining us on The Bestie Perspective. Today we're talking about manifestation madness. I'm Aylen, and I'm of course here with Lauren and Hannah as I lead us in the conversation where we discuss manifestation myths, trends, and truths. So we're going to dive right into it, guys. So the new manifestation culture is not exactly new and improved, I would say. And so we're going to start with talking about what I've termed trendy trickery. And so I'm going to share a few things that I've seen out there. And while I'm doing this, besties, I would love for you guys to think about some trendy things that you've heard in the manifestation community as well. Trendy trickery. I have heard a lot about instant manifestation. There's so many videos and posts out there about getting something now or less than 3 days or in 24 hours. Then I've had a lot of videos that come with, if this has fallen upon you, it's meant for you. And yes, I can say that sometimes with an algorithm, it's just based on what you've searched. And sometimes it can really feel like, oh, this has fallen upon me for a reason. But I'm seeing it so overly done that I'm like, this could be a bit of some trickery here. Mm-hmm. And
I feel like that's such a big red flag.
Yes. When you're starting to see it everywhere. And it's like, oh, that's meant for me, and that's meant for me. Are you sure?
Geez, every post is just meant for me.
Exactly. And then one of the other ones that I'd seen is get your person by Christmas or get such and such before this date. And so it can kind of lead people into false hope. So the problem is that these make us feel like you're doing it wrong if it hasn't come in 24 hours. And I think it's unfair. We don't know a person's background, inner thoughts, and conditions. And so what might be instant for one person may look completely different in another. So yeah, I've shared a few of my trendy trickery, quote unquote. What about you, Lauren? I want to pass the ball to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I also have witnessed the same thing you're talking about where like I've seen something where it's like, oh, you can manifest this in 1 to 3 days and it's so easy and anybody could do it, and then if you don't do it, you just feel like a failure. So I feel like kind of going off what you were saying, it's like if you don't make it in a certain timeline, you're like, am I doing it wrong? And for me personally, I can get like too locked into a certain timeline.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that actually blocks my results.
Right.
Whereas like when I put my energy strictly into the outcome, I feel like the results just come more easily.
Because it's not added pressure, right? No deadline.
Yeah. So I think that, and then like kind of along the same lines, people laying out very strict or particular like formulas, like you need to follow to get the results. Like, you need to do X, Y, Z exactly on the full moon of this day, or like, and it's like so crazy particular. And you're like, dang it, I forgot to put the sock on my left foot. This is not going to happen.
I didn't hold my breath and I didn't drink the water and I didn't spin around 3 times.
Yeah. And like in my own experience, it's just, you have to do what feels good and natural to you. Otherwise, if you're an overthinker like me, you're going to get locked into this process or formula that you're supposed to be following, that it literally sends your mind even further away from what you're actually trying to manifest. So
beautifully put.
I think that those are like 2 big ones that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Where, it's kind of like all that noise can just get in the way of what you're trying to create.
Exactly right. What about you, Hannah?
When I Okay, so you guys already know this, but I want to preface for our listeners too that for me, manifestation is newer and like grasping all the concepts around it is newer. So I haven't really been as exposed to trendy things, and what the algorithm throws at me isn't always manifestation related. But so I don't even know like what would be trendy or not, you know?
Okay.
So hearing what you guys have to say about what to look out for, I'm like, oh Lord, like anything, if you're a woo-woo skeptic to begin with, like you're like,
Right.
oh, that sounds like woo-woo, like that's just gonna automatically make you double down on those beliefs of like, are you freaking kidding me? Like this person thinks like you can just have whatever you've been dreaming of for 10 years in 3 days. Like,
Right.
what the hell? Like, it's just so far from where most of the world's mindset is. Like, I don't even really believe that that is serving anybody, like a lot of people. I shouldn't say anybody, but I don't think it's serving a lot of people to share in that way, at least, you know, doing it a certain way or have it by this because of like what y'all's reflections were.
Yeah.
Of, you know, you might start to feel that something is wrong with you or that you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
And I think it could just scare people away. You know, like seeing these, it's almost like when you see an advertisement on TV that just seems like such bullshit and you're like, yep, next channel or whatever, you know? And it's like, I think it's sad that some of that is being pumped out in that way because it could be turning people away from the magic that's really there.
There you go. Yeah. I love how that was put for sure. Yeah, no, but Hannah, I think it's great that you are one of the newer people because I'm sure, going to be people listening that are kind of like, I don't know what they're talking about, that are going to be new to this. So it actually is a perfect segue into what I was going to get into next, which is terminology. I want to go over some terminology that's being used today in case anyone listening is new to the concept of conscious manifestation in general. But also, there's no way that this is going to be the one and only conversation we have on manifestation, right? So it'll be important to introduce these words for future episodes as well. So I'll just kind of list it, get into it, and I may ask you guys, well, there's one in particular I want to ask you guys, but the first term that I am going to share is the 3D. And this isn't just like 3D glasses or, a 3D movie or anything like that. The 3D in the manifestation community terms is reality, the world, and what's in it. People, places, objects, things outside of you, right? SP, another abbreviation, 3D SP. So SP is a abbreviation used for a specific person. Now, there's so many videos out there where it's most often used as a romantic relationship. So a partner, an ex, someone you're trying to manifest into your life, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a boss, a family, or a friend. Then the term self-concept. So this is how you think, how you see, perceive yourself, and the identity that is you. What is the self-concept about myself that I have, which is really important to manifest, to consciously manifest. Then we have the quantum. So some people have even referred to it as the ethers, if you will. And this is the non-physical. It can even be hard to explain. I mean, it can get really sciencey as well, but I'm going to get into just basic terms. And so it's the realm of possibility, the unseen, the space where all possibilities lie. And the one I wanted to ask you guys about was subconscious. Because even I have heard some coaches and manifestation mentors out there talk about subconscious and ego almost interchangeably. So it's almost become negative, like something lurking in the darkness and we're not aware of it. Something to be reprogrammed or something to fight against the subconscious. So I'm curious, have you ladies heard of this in particular, that the subconscious being this part of you that needs to get it together and stop sabotaging your dreams?
So I'll go. I have definitely heard of the subconscious, and I guess I haven't heard it worded exactly that way. Like, oh, it's a problem child for you. You need to fix
Right.
that thing and get it in line. But in a way, like sometimes the messages could be perceived like that. And I think just taking a step back and maybe being aware of how you're perceiving those messages.
Yeah.
But also, I think I've seen it displayed where I think the intention is to help people see, like, if you're not aware of how your subconscious guides your life, like maybe like that's the block that you've been trying to work through. Maybe it's something that could really help you. But it's tricky because to one person, maybe that does sound like it's holding you back and it's something to be put in a box. Maybe they don't
put into submission.
Maybe they don't like it. Yeah.
And you, Lauren?
Yeah, I think I've also heard about it. Like, it's not something I've heard about as much, but I think kind of like what you were saying, it feels like there's a negative connotation with it.
Yeah.
Where, or it's like this thing you don't have control of. And,
yes.
It's like this little evil floating thing that's just like, hope it doesn't mess me up, But yeah. And so it also just kind of brings you to like perspective. Like, oh, but if I think that my subconscious is looking out for me and is doing good things, then that's what it's doing. Right. Like, so that's like another piece of it. Right. So it's almost like this could be one of those trendy things too, where that's almost getting in people's head.
Right.
Like this subconscious, oh no, like this is fighting against you. And it's like, but what if my subconscious is awesome and it's on my side and it's my warrior when I'm not aware, right? Like that's where it kind of makes me think.
Yeah, and it's exactly right. The subconscious mind is that part of us that operates all systems within us that we're not consciously participating in. So of course it's helping us out, right? Sometimes it's protecting us, and that's where it's going to block us and be like, hey, let's stick with the familiar, right? But cellular regeneration, organ system function, the subconscious mind is amazing, and it should be used and worked with rather than seen as needing adjustment. So definitely glad we clarified that. So I have two more terms before we move on to the next thing. And this one makes me chuckle because it's the term delulu. And yes, delusional is what delulu stands for now. And it's like trendy outside of the manifestation community too, like, oh, she's delulu, he's delulu, meaning crazy. But in the manifestation, it's become a positive thing, like sticking to the reality you want and the person that you want to be, no matter what is happening outside of you, no matter if you're, mother's telling you one thing and it's like, no, I'm going to be delulu here and I am sticking the course. So it's actually seen as a positive in you persisting and being determined and going towards your goal. And then lastly, the I am. I am, the statement, is very much a noun in the manifestation world as well. And so what is the I am? It's got many names: God, source, everything and all there is, the conscious part of you, I am that I am from the Bible even. So the personality, the ignorant I am, it looks to the outside for peace, fulfillment, and happiness. So it looks outwardly for conditions to be met in order to experience love and joy. The real I am, the bigger, if you will, I am, emerges from our foundation, especially as the illusory I dissolves and disappears. So it's really awesome for those on their path to manifestation that have really become aware of this. It's almost an undoing and unfolding, and it's a remembering of what we truly are. I'm so excited we are getting into this, guys. We're talking some good stuff here.
I'm also just glad you went over those terms because I think it's like a great foundation for this conversation and a good refresher, honestly. I know for me, and I'm sure for you too, Hannah.
Definitely. And even like being able to tie things in that I've already even added to my foundation, like I'm like, ooh, I get to explore what this means like in terms of manifestation now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So I want to there's two laws. I want to kind of go into history a little bit or to some degree. There's two laws that have really contributed to this world of manifestation. And so there's the law of attraction and the law of assumption. And for those who've not heard of the law of attraction, it's not having chemistry with someone, having attraction towards someone. And it's not just like attracts like. It's a philosophy suggesting that your thoughts and beliefs create your reality, drawing positive or negative experiences into your life. And there is truth in this law. I, for sure, was a big law of attraction nerd for years. However, it's turned into the outside being what gives you what you want. You have to ask the universe. It's this thing that will maybe grant you the object of your desire if you stay positive and if you focus correctly. So it's cultivated toxic positivity and limitations in some ways. But some of the great gurus I will name are Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. Norman Vincent Peale was The Power of Positive Thinking. And someone who's still alive that people might listen to out there is Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks. And she channels consciousness, if you will, and really spews out some amazing stuff in doing that. And then you go to the law of assumption. So, this is where your beliefs and assumptions about yourself and the world shape your reality. It can sometimes be interchangeable. Some people call them LOA, and they're both A's, attraction and assumption. So, sometimes it can get kind of confusing, but it's the idea that we get what we assume, and that includes our subconscious beliefs. And I will say, stepping into it and evolving and getting more into the law of assumption has really catapulted my manifestation game. So I will say there's a lot of truth in, unfortunately, the toxicity and the evolution of the law of attraction. But I think the basis of both is there and helpful. So some law of assumption, guys. We have Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy. Their teacher was Abdullah. Both of them were students of Abdullah, who was this Ethiopian mystic who, at a time where African Americans were not allowed to do things he was able to do. He was able to purchase a ticket to a theater at one point with no problem, and Neville Goddard would just be astounded by this dark-skinned man surpassing all belief and limitation and ignoring the rules, because he was just, his identity said, I'm sorry, but I'm allowed to do anything that I want. I am infinite intelligence. Really incredible. You guys need to look him up for sure. Then we have Florence Scovel Shinn. She is actually one to be very prophetic in her words, use a lot of scripture. And Ernest Holmes, he's the founder of the Science of Mind. So these were all great pioneers. And then some present day law of assumption guys that they may not claim that specific law as the heart of what they teach, but the essence of it is there, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, and Greg Braden. So do any names stand out to you ladies, or do you care to share ones that you've heard or people you like to listen to? And if it's not specific to manifestation, maybe it's just mindset or self-help. What about you, Hannah?
So I recognize some of the names that you said there. Well, have heard you mention Neville Goddard before, but never looked into it yet.
No,
Mark
yes,
my words there.
Yet.
But I've also heard lots about Joe Dispenza, and what was the other one you said right after that?
Greg Braden?
No, Eckhart
Tolle. Or Tolle,
yes.
However.
I don't know how to say it either. I'm sorry. If you ever hear this, I really love your work, but I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. But yeah, my first, I want to say even like while I was still working at bedside, I think that was one of my first times like reading into like self-help, but more like centered around how like your consciousness really affects your reality and such. And that was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And
it's a great book.
As far as like social media goes, I also recently came across this guy's account. His name is Gabe Martinelli. And I feel like I've been enjoying his videos because I feel like he breaks things down in a very clear and easy to understand way on like even just a short Instagram video. And he's all about changing your inner world so that your outer world can look the way that it wants. And I don't even know if that's more like, even just by telling you that, if that's more like law of assumption or law of attraction based, but he does talk a lot about like how your emotions, like lining your thoughts and emotions and quantum to
nice
get what you want on the outside, right? Or like to have your life look the way that it wants. And I'm probably not explaining that very clearly or doing him justice. Go look him up.
Yeah,
he's really great.
Gabe Martinelli. I'm gonna have to look him up for sure.
Yes. And I don't know what his accent is, but I think it's very fun to listen to him too because of that.
Okay, cool.
Definitely helps with an accent, right? Yeah, no, I also recognize Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, some of those names. And although I don't like regularly follow any specific manifestation coaches or gurus, I like still have them in my feed and like enjoy them obviously when they pop up, but a lot of the times honestly like you're my little manifestation go-to, Aylen.
I love it.
Because you're like so plugged into it. It's like I could just go tap into my Aylen and see what the latest is. But
nice.
I follow a lot of like more kind of like self-help and mindset stuff. And I think that it makes sense now, you know, even reflecting back, just because I'm like, oh, that's why I'm a mindset coach, because this is what I'm naturally attracted to, right? But I really like, and y'all know who this is because I'm always sending you his quotes, but Cory Muscara.
There's some good quotes Instagram. You send us too.
Yeah, so I'm subscribed to his like free texts or whatever, but just I love getting his thought-provoking messages and just like encouragement on different mindsets, because like for some reason, I swear I always get exactly the thing I need to hear on days that I'm like going through something. And like I said, I let Hannah know because I'm always like, y'all, look at this. But I also follow a couple other accounts. One is Mindset Therapy and one is Library Mindset. And I feel like I rely on all three, you know, Cory Muscara's and those two a lot, just to like help shift my perspective and get me into that reflection state and just like inspire me in some way. Just try to keep the feed filled with the good things, you know. And just to me, it's like if something can make me pause in the midst of doom scrolling and catch my attention and actually make me reflect and sit back and think deeper, like I know it's something good. So yeah, that's what I tend to look at.
Perfect. Yeah, I need to look up the other people you mentioned though too. I've just with what you've sent me is one thing, but I'm gonna look up all that you guys have named. That's great. So next, I will hold off and I want to put out a good list of influencers. They're all YouTubers actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that really do know the laws that are teaching manifestation correctly and helpful. And they're all different flavors. So I feel like the list that I share later on is actually going to be a good like starter for someone who's looking to listen to some content and not get steered in the wrong direction. So I'll skip that for now. And I want to move on to manifestation misconceptions. So I have a list of 7 of what some people assume manifestation is, or just ideas around it. And yeah, we'll open it up for discussion. So the first one is that it's this magic trick that I can use to get free coffee, right? Like I can occasionally use it and get things. And obviously that's inaccurate. I'll get a little bit more into that. But number 2 is you must stay positive and feel good. But I have to ask, when you were claiming the fear and the worry and the doubt, did you feel good? And haven't you had things that you were worried about manifest? So that kind of already just debunks that misconception. Number 3 is you don't make the rules. And I think, Lauren, you touched on this one. And I will agree that there are some coaches that say this, like it has to be this way, or you have to do this set of things under the moon and drink the water and whatever else. But that you don't make the rules, it's also in the beliefs. It's almost like what you believe doesn't matter in that sense, and that's just not true. So I almost want to like hold off in speaking too much on these, because in digging into the truths, it will thoroughly debunk these even more. So next one, number 4, must stick to it and focus on it 100% of the time or as often as possible. So you're trying to manifest whatever it is, you got to just think about it as often as possible. Like I have to put a lot of effort into getting what I want, and I have to think about it all day long. Number 5 is you are your thoughts and emotions. You are consciousness, but we really do associate what we're thinking and what we're feeling as who we are. Number 6, the 3D is not changeable. Like once it's done, it's done. But instant manifestation is a real thing. People have, and it's really cool and freaky to talk about, but people have materialized an object and had something appear when it was not there before. It's wild, guys. Literally, you could just like go on TikTok and read or look at people posting about that. It's wild. There have been timeline shifts, glitches in the matrix, people call it. So we've been duped to believe that this knock on whatever is near you hard object is more real than what's inside of us. And then last, number 7 is the idea that you must feel it real. And it's not necessarily needed, especially if you've never done or had it before. You might not know what it feels like. So feelings can absolutely help and amplify and induce whatever it is you are trying to create. But if you're feeling bad, you should still consistently persist through that. Stick to whatever you're manifesting, whether feeling sad or good. So, does anyone have anything coming up for them as I've listed the misconceptions so far?
I definitely feel like I feel like I've heard some of these things, even just, and maybe that's some more of the, toxic accounts out there and stuff. Yeah, because I feel like when you were saying it, I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen that before, where it's like, you have to be totally like feeling this reality to make it come true. But like you just said, if it's something you've really never had, then how are you 100% sure how it even feels to be in that new reality?
Yeah.
So I think it's helpful to hear these things, because I think they are common misconceptions, and maybe these things also make some people shy away because it feels like too unattainable,
out of reach. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Hannah?
What came to my mind was like, I hope that you feel like this is related, but I literally think of some like, I visualize this person who's like just sitting on a rock meditating, and behind them, like the whole world is on fire, and like they're just pretending like it doesn't exist. And you're like, yeah, man, like, what's up? You know,
so
just pretending like,
yeah.
there's not a care in the world outside of like whatever they're trying to manifest, or like whatever they're so focused on channeling that they can't worry about whatever is going on behind them.
Right. Yeah. No, that's absolutely, it's been depicted so many times like that. And it's not, and it's flat out been said, just ignore your circumstances or ignore the reality and ignore your 3D. And
That's so dangerous.
exactly, I get what they're trying to say, but it has really screwed some people over. There have been comments and stuff that I'll read that is like, oh man, so many people have been steered in the wrong direction with this. And yeah, it's literally like those cartoon characters that are trying to just block it all out. And so that's where that delulu can be dangerous. So I will now get into some truths, and that'll be one of them. That'll be talked about a little bit further. But the first one that I put down was it never turns off. So this one kind of goes with it's this magic trick I can use sometimes. No, you're always manifesting an experience. So whether the thing is here or not, present or absent, you're manifesting it either way. You're manifesting the absence of it or the presence of it. So it's the thoughts, beliefs, energy, our actions, our subconscious being 95% of what we get, all of that is always working. So if we can't turn these off, like how do we expect to turn manifestation off? No, it's something we are constantly doing, and we've been manifesting since childhood, not knowing it. So it's consciously manifesting now that people are trying to talk about. But there's the huge misconception is that it's just a sometimes thing. No, always manifesting. Glad we cleared that up. Next one. It's not about the thing outside of you. It's about identity. And that is a truth beyond truth. Who are you being? Who are you identifying as? So you can take the same action in and out of alignment, right? You can be doing something, saying, bless your heart, and really be saying F you, kind of a concept. It's the same thing with any action. You can be doing it out of desperation, or you can be doing it in total confidence. So it's more so, if I had it, how would I be thinking, speaking, acting throughout the day, doing anything? And I always tell my clients 51% of the time, 51% of the time is what you need to tip the scale. The identity that you're being the version of you that already has it. Then the next one, the truth is the universe doesn't discriminate. So it's not about being good. It's not about this, I'm just going to think positive. So, and if you think about it, haven't you ever heard of someone getting what they want or getting away with something, and you thought that they didn't deserve it, or they deserved punishment or something, and they got away with it? This is how bad people can still manifest, quote unquote bad people, right? Because maybe they don't believe in consequences. And if we get what we believe, the universe isn't going to discriminate. So my belief is the universal law of what you put out, you get back, shows up. Maybe it does return to that person somehow. But it could be in the form of health, wealth, relationship, not in the exact form it was dished out. It is returned. But energy exchange is always going on. So I just want to make sure nobody out there thinks that this is like a permission slip to go be bad and get what you want. Not my point. But a person can have a good self-concept, and then a person can have good relationship with money, etc. Like the universe doesn't discriminate. You're getting what you believe no matter who you are. And that can be a blessing. It means it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your past. You can have whatever you want. So that is one thing that I've heard so many people misconstrue as to like, you have to be good. Honestly, in a lot of religions too, you have to do certain things in order for the world to smile upon you. Next one, it can't be tricked. It being the law. So it knows when you're being disingenuous. If you think back on anything that didn't work out for you and really own what you were internally, how you were internally, you'd find you got exactly what you were putting out in some way. If you think about it, it's like, yeah, okay, my thoughts were going towards doubt or concern or worry. So were you really focusing on having it? Or were you focusing on the situation, the drama, the arguments, the pain, the worry? And I am guilty of this. If you guys want to share that you are as well, I would let flashbacks that would flood in, like take over. Like, oh, this memory popped in. Okay, I guess I got to think about it now. I just like wouldn't even try to stop it. Or I would let imaginary scenarios. I know we all do that. We play things that hadn't happened, and we just play out this imaginary scenario that leads me into a spiral as well. So it's just a big difference in fake it until you make it versus tapping into imagination and basking in it. Have you guys caught yourself doing any of that? That like, you really own up to it. It's like, okay, yeah, it can't be tricked. I actually was going in this direction, even though I was telling myself I was going the other way. Lauren, You're nodding your head.
Yeah, definitely. I think there have been situations where like I catch my mind like trying to tell myself like, no, like, this is what you want. But like inside, I think I do sense something that feels differently. But then it's like, I'm like, okay, but if I keep saying it in my mind, then it's going to work, right? But no, I think reflecting on manifestations of mine that have come to fruition, it's like, no, I was all in. Like mind and body was on the same page. There wasn't like a disagreement or like, imbalance between the two. I think that's a really good point to bring up, is that it can't be tricked. Like it's, and I think like too, when people hear the delulu, then they could tap into like, but I'm telling myself this, I'm saying it, I'm saying all the right things or whatever. But it's like, but if there's still a disconnect, right? If that's not genuinely what you're putting into it, then it's still not going to pan out the way your mind is hoping it will.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are giving me some good food for thought here. I'm going to like walk away from today's episode a changed woman.
Yes,
that's the point, right?
Great. So the next one is that you make the rules. And a great question to ask yourself is, what do I believe about this? So if you're manifesting something and it's like not come into fruition, it's like, okay, do I believe that my affirmations are or aren't working? Do I believe that it's going to take time? What do I believe about this that I am trying to manifest? And this is how some things work for you and not others. Period, point blank. Because someone believes it works this way, and it has. We've seen that. And then we try it and we're like, what the crap? That didn't do squat for me. Right? So the next one is kind of paired with this is, it's not one size fits all. So find your flavor. If what works for a 60-year-old white man doesn't mean it's going to work for a 25-year-old Black woman, right? It's that same thing. We don't know a person's internal state, their culture, their thoughts, their past experiences. So, what tools have worked for you? I want you guys to think about that as I keep talking. There's so many people that say robotic affirming doesn't work. And that's one example, one tool. For those who don't know what robotic affirming is, it's where you just repeat the affirmation over and over again, back to back. So it's like, I make $1,000 a day. I make $1,000 a day. I make $1,000 a day. And you're just on a loop over and over. Then there's people that do mirror work, stand in front of the mirror to do their affirmations, scripting, meditation, visualization, rampages. And I've seen so much content out there where people claim this doesn't work, you have to do it this way. That doesn't work, you have to do it this. I would suggest people find their flavor, because you can say to yourself, it all works. It all works. It's all valid. That's literally the next truth that I have. It all works. It's all valid. You can decide that everything that I do works. Every tool works for me. The next one is, it's all you. So if God is everything and all there is, we've heard that somewhere at some point, right? That includes you. And this goes way back and beyond. We're talking even ancient Ayurvedic origins. In Sanskrit, it's literally Bhavanam Kevalam. God is everything and all there is. Now, maybe said differently today, you may have heard we're all one. You may have heard things about collective consciousness, or even in a sciencey way through quantum physics theories like quantum entanglement. But the idea is that there's no separation from the thing, circumstance, person. So this goes with the condition and the situation that you're trying to manifest out of, if you will. So someone doesn't prioritize you. How are you not prioritizing yourself? Someone demonstrates mistrust. How are you not trusting yourself? Or someone's ignoring you. What are you ignoring within yourself? What needs aren't you tending to? I feel this is resonating with you guys. Yeah, go ahead, Lauren. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no. I was just like, yep, preach.
I'm feeling it. Preach, girl, preach. So, because there's no separation, change yourself, change the world. That's not a cliche. It's literally all within. It's not that you won't have to take action outside, but if you're tapped into the person that's already who you want to be, or that already has what you want, the steps to take just come. They unfold, or you feel guided or inspired. You're guided in the direction. It's like watching a movie and knowing the ending. We have movies that we like and we'll watch again. It's the same kind of thing. And in the Bible, it also says, seek ye first the kingdom, and all things are added unto you. So our imagination is creative power. Everything is a thought first. You can't go make a sandwich without first thinking about making a sandwich, right? So that one is huge, that it's all you. I mean, if you can get that down, you're set for your manifestation journey. Next truth. Let go to make the process easier. And a lot of people get this wrong. They think it's let go of what I want. And no, it's not necessarily not of the desire. It's let go of the need to have it, the effort, the desperation. Let go of the need for external validation, not just verbally from a person, but from even the physical thing showing up. Then we have repetition and persistence is key. This truth is for real. And it's not saying it must take time, because you can decide it doesn't. In fact, like, how many times did you think about something once without resistance and it happened? Even something as simple as a friend pops into your head and then they call minutes later. That's because there aren't assumptions against that occurring. So in order to change assumptions that you may need more, and if that's the case, you have beliefs built up around, that's when you may need more discipline and more persistence. And that's where repetition comes in. Neuroscience has proven that if you repeat something enough, it will come to fruition.
So I have to, this is just making me think of like a really funny story. And I want to interject because I want to show like genuinely when you don't have resistance, how simple it can be.
Okay.
And even like silly,
yes.
if you don't mind.
Let's hear it.
Just to give a little example, when you said this, bay leaves came to my mind. And you guys are probably like, what? But Aylen and Hannah know I love to cook. But bay leaves, like one day, I was cooking something. I think I was using like the last of my bay leaves. And I was like, oh man, I really need to make sure I get some bay leaves because I think there was like going to be something else I was making with it. I kid you not, my mom came over to visit me the next day and she brings me bay leaves. And she goes, I don't know why, just like something told me to bring you bay leaves. And I was like, oh my God, I was literally just thinking this yesterday.
Yep.
And I mean, like, how random. Like, never in my life has my mother brought me bay leaves, ever. And then, like, the one day that I had that quick thought, right, that one thought, no resistance, like, I need to get bay leaves, she brings me bay leaves. So
Perfect.
just to, I felt like I had to share that as an example of what you were talking about.
Yeah, you did. That was a perfect example. Yeah, exactly right. It's no resistance. And people think, oh, so that just means I don't have to care about it. No. Lauren just doesn't have a bunch of built up assumptions about bay leaves.
I was perfectly happy to let them flow into my life.
I have a question. So does that also tie into the other truth of like God is everything and I can't remember exactly how you worded it, but like how Lauren's mom was connected in that story. She didn't freaking know, but she was like, here, I'm part of this story now. Here you go.
Exactly.
Here's your bay leaves you asked for.
Yeah. And that's the same even connecting to the other one where the idea that it's about you. Like you have someone who says something to you. If it wasn't already inside you, they wouldn't have even said that thing. So if someone insults you or someone makes you feel insecure, if you don't have that insecurity inside, you're like, okay. But yes, this is how people can be telepathic because we're all connected. It gets really fun when we step into our own power and start manifesting. And then we start talking to people.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember the day we had a girls' day and we all just somehow knew that we were going to dress in pajamas afterwards?
Yes! Exactly.
It was our Galentine's, right? Like we had a Galentine's, we dressed up for the tea house, but like somehow we all got the memo that we were throwing on pajamas and chilling on the couch after.
Yes. Exactly. Well, and then me and Lauren have had several times where we are like dressed up the same. I remember we had a long while ago, a dance friend's graduation, and we both wore this wine burgundy color. Then it was a dance event, and the theme for the night was like your favorite superhero, and we both were Superman. And then we both got the same business cards one time, like sometimes with your people, your tribe. So your mother, absolutely. My mom has been like, it's so funny you're bringing this up because I was just thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, yeah, of course, because I was thinking about it yesterday. Yeah, we're all connected.
It almost makes it so much easier too when you're like having conversations. Cause like I think we all kind of joke about how we can like jump around everywhere sometimes in our conversations. And it's like because we're all like connected. And I feel like we just keep up with it because we just know, you know, like there's this inner knowing of and connectedness that's there. Yeah.
So when it comes to being in that flow and not having assumptions about it, then yeah, people bringing things to you, things unfolding so easily like that, and it being so fun, and we'll just like send each other messages and being telepathic and all that. Yes. But when there's assumptions and we've had these experiences that tell us that it is hard or that whatever your beliefs are, and you have that resistance build up or limitation or block, however you want to, claim it, call it, that's where repetition is important. And if you think about it, how did you learn your name as a baby? Your mother said it enough times to where you connected the dots. And as a mother now, for me, I see that throughout the day, I repeat again and again and again letters, numbers, animals, colors. And that's how we all learn. In doing that with my daughter, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Neuroscience, repetition, like that's, you hear it enough and then you start to believe it. That's how we have these shitty assumptions about ourselves. We've said it enough times. So now we just have to flip the thoughts and put it in the direction enough to where we start to feel really great about ourselves. And then my last truth, that you must have a strong foundation of knowing who you are. Now, this is for conscious manifestation. When we're little, those of us that have never heard about manifestation, you've always been manifesting. So when you want to do conscious manifestation, you're actually aiming and just not, being like the wind, then that's where self-concept and your identity is a huge game changer. It's what are you saying about yourself and what is possible for you. This is also why you shouldn't compare. You don't suck if it takes longer because someone may struggle in a particular area. Where someone's strength is money, yours would be relationships or career or whatever. So you're just unmoved when you know who you are. It won't matter what anyone else says, because let me tell you, the 3D will come through your loved ones. Oh my gosh, it'll sneak in there. But there's this one YouTuber that I love. His name is Eric. He's going to be on my list, but the title of his page is The Power of I Am. And he has one video that talks about someone saying up and it's like, "Hey, Matilda, what are you going to say?" No, my name's not Matilda. It's Aylen. No, you're Matilda. No, I'm Aylen. It's having that certainty about your name is how awesome you feel about yourself, how successful you're going to be, how capable you are. No, I'm not Matilda. I'm Aylen. So I'm the person that is successful. I am the person that has my desires, tapping into that. So I feel like our class session has been going so well, but we need to have some fun. I would love to hear some success stories from you guys as to whatever you want to say. What's a manifestation success story that you can share with us? Hannah, let's start with you.
I'm so excited to share this because at first I was scared. I was like, oh gosh, what even counts as a manifestation success story? But like a lot of this has been reflection. So thank you for giving me this question prompt. It's been fun to reflect on.
No problem.
Because I don't think I fully understood that I was manifesting at the time. But looking back, moving to Dominican Republic was like one of the most recent and clearest examples in my life. Because at that point, my husband and I, we both walked away from what looked like, successful careers on paper. And we had checked the boxes of we did this right, but things deep down still felt like unaligned. And we both agreed that we had this growing sense of like, there has to be something more. Like, we're not going to settle for this. We want more freedom. We want to be more present with each other. We want more meaning and purpose in our lives. And so it's not like we had this like grand, perfect plan and we're like, okay, the answer is moving to Dominican Republic. But in our downtime, we just let ourselves kind of just dream and have fun and talk about the life that we really desired and what that would really look like. And for us, we both share a love for nature and fresh food and adventure, family, sunshine, and honestly, just a space to be and not do anything else, just feel happy, doing nothing. And I remember so vividly the day that the idea just dropped in. Bloop. What if we just moved to Dominican Republic? And I sat there and thought about it for a really long time before I told him. I was like, he's going to think I'm crazy or like just laugh at me. But I said, okay, babe, hear me out. What if we rent out our place here and move to Dominican Republic? And I called him today to ask him like to recall this memory, like what his point of view was like. And for him, his thought process at that time was like, yeah, okay, how would that work? And he thought that, we were just BSing around on the couch and it's just, that's not going to be real. Like, okay, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But what I had done just then was planted the seed, and the next days and weeks went by. And so like the energy behind the same words changed. So he was thinking, wait, like, how would that work? Wait, why couldn't we? It just shifted a little bit. And then when we started thinking through the logistics, we were like, really, why can't we make this work? And it aligned with a lot of financial goals we had and just other stuff. It sounded wild, but the more that we sat with it and were curious about it, it worked out. I mean, we're here.
Yay! You manifested a life in Dominican Republic.
Yes. And
awesome.
It was not easy. I know y'all remember I was sitting down. I almost gave up because I didn't know if we were going to be able to afford or to ship our dogs or if it was going to be worth it. But I was like, there's no way I'm going to put my dogs back in a shelter or like try to rehome them. They've been through so much. And
yeah. And they're so cute.
I know.
I would be I think they helped keep me sane. They're definitely emotional support animals. If anyone out there listening knows a Great Pyrenees, you know how loving and affectionate they are. Like anytime they sense I'm like uncomfortable, they're right there by my side and be like, hi, Mom, I'm here. Remember to come back to the present moment, okay?
Oh, so cute.
Aww,
but I guess I wanted to share like the success in that is also, it's not like we just dreamed and that was it. Like there was action that we had to take behind it to actually make it happen. And but we didn't like force or obsess it over it. It was the whole time just a genuine like sense of curiosity of like, okay, what do we do now? Or like, what is this going to look like? How are we going to do this part? It wasn't an energy of like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? It was like, you see that again, like how it's like the same word, but same words, but different energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think that really helped us a lot. And
yeah, I bet it did.
I don't know what else to say about that, but
it's perfect. I think that last point is a really, really good point. It doesn't mean you're not going to take action. It doesn't mean it's not going to be without fear even. You guys had uncertainties with that, but the end goal came about. That's amazing.
Yeah. The fear is definitely a big point there because the decision to move here at first came without like logical reasoning. I would definitely say that's a time in my life where I confidently feel like that was my intuition speaking. Like it just came in out of nowhere. I wasn't thinking about anything. And then I was like, ooh, like let's play with that. Even though I don't have it fully mapped out yet, like I just kept following the breadcrumbs and just tried to stay aligned to what our goals were the whole time and keeping that at the forefront. But it was scary because you don't always know what the next page is going to look like when you're ready to turn and like, okay, here's the next step. Here's the next, there's no guide. At least in that case, there was no guide. And that was kind of difficult to explain to people when they'd ask. Like I remember, I kid you not, I ran into my childhood best friend's mom at our grocery store. And I was telling her about our exciting plans to move and everything. And she literally looked at me, turned her head sideways, and opened up her eyes really wide and said, "Why on earth would you move there?" And,
oh my
you know,
gosh.
like to her, it did not make sense. Like, she was like, "Why would you move there?" And so, like, and also, like, I hadn't seen that lady in probably like 10 years or more. So, like, totally out of the blue. Also, someone I don't really like value their opinion so much, right? Like, they're not very involved in my life. But so it didn't really hit me hard in that way, but it really made me reflect on this probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to.
There you go. Yeah. Doesn't have to. Love it. Good stuff. And Lauren, give us your manifestation success story.
Okay, so I have two
She's
things.
smiling so big, guys.
I know.
Well, because like the main story I want to share is obviously like a super big life event. And then also reflecting on this, like I found some old affirmation cards. So I even want to like touch on that a little bit. But like one of my biggest manifestation success stories actually has to do with my engagement ring and proposal. So that's why I'm over here grinning all big.
Geeking out over there.
Yes. Because so this was actually like really early on in my manifestation game. You know, Aylen was teaching me all the basics at the time, right? You remember.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, I was so ready to be engaged to my now husband. And this was also my first experience of letting go of my expectations and the how. And in this time, it's like it was something I was wanting, you know, like we had been together for a few years. We were moved into we were living together. We got a house together. And we obviously both wanted it, but it was like, oh, are we in a financial place to do this? Right. And like things he was saying made it sound like it was going to be years off. Like it was obvious that like we are soulmates and love each other, but like the logistics of like, when can we actually get engaged and like start like that fun chapter of things, like it felt like it was so far off. And so I had all these expectations that I think were blocking it at the time. Like I wanted this certain ring and I wanted, you know, like a huge proposal in front of my loved ones. And like I had all these ideas, right, of like the vision that I saw. And so when I say about letting go, it's like I had this clarity moment one day. And I think I even came on and told you about it, Aylen, where I was just like, yeah, I don't even care like what the ring is anymore. Like I just want to marry this man.
Yeah.
Like I love him. I want to be his wife, right? Like, and I was like, I don't even think I want some like huge proposal. I just want something that's like intimate and personal and just like really special. And after I had like this epiphany, I think it just like dropped whatever blocks I had, because 3 days later, he proposed to me with my absolute dream ring in the most romantic and personal way. And I just remember being like so over the moon. I mean, not just because, you know, I got engaged to the love of my life and that was super exciting, but like to actually see, oh my gosh, I was so worried about this for so long. I thought this was so far off in the future. I thought, I would have to throw my dream ring Pinterest ideas out the window, like I thought it was, I thought I had to just like get rid of everything. But really it was, I just had to let go of the how and the expectation of how it was going to come to me and when it was going to come to me. And like, I just could not believe that the second I changed that mindset, 3 days later, I was a fiance.
Yeah.
So it definitely, that was one of my biggest ones. Obviously, like there's lots of little stories here and there, but that was one where it was like, oh my gosh, that's all I had to do.
Right? Just drop the
Damn it. Yeah. And aside from the proposal and engagement ring, like I said, I had looked and found some old affirmation cards that I had wrote a while back, and I'm proud to say now that I'm living as my reality today. So it's actually like super cool to find these and be like, oh, I'm doing this, like, oh, this is every day now. And so I thought I would share some of them for you guys to hear, because I know you're involved in my growth and evolution as a person. So you'll be like, yep, that's something that she's doing now. But also for maybe our listeners to hear, to find potentially helpful for themselves. So you guys are ready?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So here's just a few of them, not too many. Every day I get more aligned with my passion.
Yeah.
So that was something, right? I had that disconnect, whatever. So that was a huge one for me, which I'm living my passion now. I am okay with allowing the future to unfold.
Yeah.
And so again, it was me just like holding too many expectations and getting stuck on the how, right? Instead, now I'm just like, let's see what you got, universe. I'm ready. I'm excited. I know it's going to be good, right? And the next one was, the person I am is more valuable than any title or career I could have. And we just talked about this in the last episode. And when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember feeling like that was so far off.
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm so confident in that truth. So it was like super powerful to see that. And just two more. I listen to my body.
Yes.
That was a huge one, right? Like trying to listen in more, even going off of authenticity and stuff like that, and boundary setting that we talked about in the other episode. Just listening, tuning in more, right? Like I definitely am embodying that. And the last one I wrote was, I trust the universe to guide me. So that was another one where I felt like I had to have, I don't know, you just like feel like you need this control and you need to see things planned out and how they're going. And I find comfort now and just like, I trust the universe. The universe provides for me. It brings me what I need, and it hasn't guided me wrong. So,
but I love that these, like, they've come to fruition. Like, it's almost like these affirmations are just describing your present day self now. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to share the one big story, but I had to just read some of these because I found these and I was like, I'm proud to say I'm living these.
I'm there.
I am living these. I'm there. This is my reality now.
Yes.
So just as some inspiration that if you're a person who's writing down affirmation cards or however you like to absorb your manifestations, that like there is going to become a time where you're going to look back and go, oh, that's just my life. Right? And
it's just my life now.
It's exciting. It's just my life now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, girls, for both sharing. Those were perfect. Hopefully resonate with our listeners too. I'm sure it's gotten some people excited, especially if you're going for a big move like Hannah, or if you're wanting an engagement, marriage, happy relationship like Lauren. Those are great. So let's turn to answering the question, how does one start? For our newbies out there, for people listening, like, okay, cool, I want to try this manifestation thing on. So I'll go ahead and list out my reliable influencers, in my opinion, they're all YouTubers. If people wanted to pause the podcast here and get a pen and paper, or just come back to this specific time in the podcast and write these out, because they all are different flavors. I have men and women on here, and they just really resonate with me for different reasons. So I feel like I would be surprised if someone couldn't find someone in this list. I have 9 people total. And I've already mentioned him before, Eric, and his YouTube page is The Power of I Am, Zachary Hickory, and those, it's Zakari, and Hickory also is Hikari. Tom Karen, Karin, his page is Be Something Wonderful. Joseph Rodriguez, with an S, not a Z. And then we have Genevieve from Manifest with Genevieve, Amy from Illuminating Joy, Sammy Ingram. And now I will say she is a controversial one because Sammy is so herself. This girl, I used to call her Queen of Cursing. But I will say what's great with her is she cuts through the basics. She simplifies things, and she uses very simple language. And so she will resonate with people out there. I do believe that. Naya is Neyah. She is very woo-woo vibes, spiritual, esoteric, does even tarot cards on occasion. So if that's your vibe, Naya's your girl. Plus she has a fun Italian accent. And then Bobby, she is from House of Vibrations. She has a lovely British accent, actually. Some of these people have some cool accents. So check those people out if you're trying to get some, influence or someone to watch and listen to. I would, like I said, be shocked if you couldn't resonate with one of them. They're all so different and yet amazing. So how does one start? Yeah, you could go on YouTube and start there. But other ways I would say is pay attention to what you're saying inside your head about everything. Pay attention. Are you complaining all day? What's your self-talk? Is it just too many random thoughts? Are you all over the place? So start there with your thoughts and listening to yourself. Then I would suggest analyzing your relationship with time. What are your beliefs about it? It's a very linear concept for a lot of people, past, present, future. Beliefs about waiting. If anyone's never seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's a very, very quirky film, but it has a lot of truths and a lot of quantum physics ideas in there that it's like you can tap into so many realities in the now. Then I would say reacting in real time is something for someone starting out. Basically, when shit's going down, pause in the moment and asking questions like, is this even mine? Is this my energy I'm reacting to? Where is it in my body? What was I just thinking to get me this way? Like, what specific thoughts are associated with this? What's the fear? What do I actually want? So sometimes I will say in doing this, we're swept up in the spiral and it's too damn late. And that's okay. At that point, you just hang on. It'll be over soon. Sometimes you just got to go through that whirlwind and then get grounded again, centered, present, be still, and know that I am God kind of a energy. And show yourself grace if you get swept up and go down the spirals. They will happen. They sometimes get stronger when people step into this journey. I think you guys can attest to that sometimes it is a bit of a battle, but it doesn't have to be. So either way, give yourself grace. Then I would tell the person, start choosing thoughts that you want to be thinking. You've paid attention, you've acknowledged and seen what thoughts are steering you into this reality that you don't want. But now start choosing whether it's affirmations, even just going on the internet using ChatGPT, some sort of daily practice in where you're choosing your thoughts and you're thinking differently and there's going to be some discipline needed at first. And then my last suggestion is trying out different techniques, but remembering that you are the tool. The techniques are just the techniques. If you think about it, how have I manifested in the past? You were manifesting without tools to begin with. So the tools don't have the power. You are giving the tools power. And also remember that you've manifested things you deem easy or quote unquote small by just thinking or saying it once. So these techniques and whatnot, like just the thought itself can be powerful enough to help you manifest. So I'd love to also share, what does Aylen like to do? And so my favorite things to do is to leisurely visualize. I mean, in a relaxed state, not avidly, at a specific time of day or anything like that. No, but while driving or doing the dishes or even falling asleep, I stress the word leisurely, not forced. Seeing the scenes that I want, playing out scenarios that I would love to come about, play out a movie of my future, or revise something in my past. How would I have liked that to go? I don't like to stay there too often. I am one to play with the future more, but everything is in the now, right? So also in the visualizations, I catch the ugly flashbacks, the memories or the created scenes, and I replace them. So that's how I use my visualization. Another thing I love is affirmations. I like a combo. Sometimes where it's just rambling. I'm just rambling an affirmation and the next sentence is different. And so I can give an example if it's like, I love having so much money. I love being rich. It feels so great to make such and such a day. I love having this much in my bank account. Oh, I feel such freedom, this and that, right? So they're all affirmations. Affirmations are just thoughts, sentences, phrases, words, but it's different from robotic affirming, which I will still occasionally use. This is especially when you have like a pestering thought that like doesn't want to let go. Then I'm like, no, I'm repeating this one statement over and over and over again. We're gonna be determined with this one. My experience in intense robotic affirming, however, is that I did get what I wanted, but it lasted a month because I was still in my old identity. I also felt exhausted afterwards. So there is a way of doing too much, doing it wrong, if you will, but not for everyone. For some people, it's like, are you kidding? I could robotic affirm all day long and it does nothing to me. That's just something I uncovered for myself, was like, oh, wow, it didn't last because it's great. I could pummel it in all day. But if I'm going to revert back to the old identity, it's eventually going to fall through. When it came to catching my ugly thoughts and replacing with affirmations, at first it would be like, whoa, what the heck did I just say? Like some of the thoughts was like, oh my God, that was so mean to myself or whatever. And so I would have to go and replace it with a phrase and stop the wobble, the wavering, the contradiction. Be like, oh, wait, I don't need to think this way anymore. Everything is made right. Everything is different now. No, from now on, this is how it goes. That's not true for me anymore. Whatever I need to say that's like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. And then I also will say my favorite, I know we talked about how you don't have to feel it real, but I enjoy thinking, how would it feel? Name the emotion. If I had my desire, it would feel like love. It would feel like peace. And how would I feel in my body? That's where people will use the mirror even. How would it feel as frequently and as often as I can? I love tapping into that. But I want to hear, girls, what manifestation techniques do you guys like to use? We can start with you, Hannah.
Yes. You are the one that introduced me to affirmations when we got together a couple times and I was still working at bedside, I was going through it.
That's
And
right.
so like some of those affirmations were really Foundational for me in that time when I was trying to make a shift in my life, like a really big shift, change careers.
Yeah.
Um, so affirmations have definitely been around for me for a while, although I don't use them like religiously. So I
Yeah.
think more. Well, I don't know. You tell me. Is gratitude considered a manifestation technique,
Oh,
or
yeah.
like could
Sure.
it be?
Just tapping into that, the feeling of gratitude. Sure.
Yeah, because in a way, I was thinking, okay, if that counts, then I feel like that's the one that I've been enjoying the most lately because I
Nice.
feel like it puts me into uh, like an energetic state of, okay, I want to build from this place. Whatever I do today, this is the place I want to build from with this energy that I get from
It's
if I'm
perfect.
writing. And, practicing gratitude can look so many different ways.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
even like while I'm cooking, I'll have certain thoughts going through my head about how grateful I am for the food and how I love to cook. And like my mind just goes on. I'm like, oh, it's like I'm an artist in the kitchen. It tastes so good. um, like,
So
how
cute.
lucky are we that we get to have this human experience? You know. So I'll
Yeah.
think about stuff like that. And then all the way down to like intentionally thinking of someone I really, really love and how blessed I feel their presence is in my life. And like to the point where like it'll bring tears to my eyes and I feel the gratitude through my whole body and heart. Like my
Mm.
chest feels like it'll explode, Or like even just feeling the sunshine on my skin one day after it's been raining for a long time. Or when the rain finally comes after it's been so dang hot. Like those are
Mm.
times all those examples I feel gratitude. And I feel like those in a way have helped me manifest things, but in a way I don't fully understand, if that makes sense.
Well, no, and that's fine. I feel like, and you tell me if um, it makes sense to me. I'll explain, and you tell me if this is accurate. But in getting into gratitude, you start affirming. I think, just maybe not repetitive, or maybe not written down, or maybe not in that way, but we're always affirming something, right? If affirmations are just thoughts, that's really what it is. So you may not be writing them out on a card and saying them like that with that kind of intention, but the gratitude, you're like stepping into feeling that in that space of being grateful, being thankful, and then you start just affirming the gratitude about where you're at. So you also deal with or step into presence. You get present in the moment, and so with cooking, but then you do the distance thing. You think about someone and embodying love for that person or love for that thing. So it's this like beautiful soup here you got going on. It's this.
My gratitude soup.
Yeah.
It's signature.
I was going to say, get some gratitude soup up in there.
It's such a lovely
Coming
recipe.
right up.
Yeah. So would you agree that now that I've mentioned, it's like, oh, I'm using a couple different tools here.
Yeah. And I struggled to put it into words. So thank you for
Soup.
clarifying that on your end. Yeah. Soup. You know what they call soup here on a side note?
No,
They
tell
joke
us.
around, they call it agua sucia, dirty water.
Dirty water.
Oh my God. Agua
They're
sucia.
like, this is some good dirty water.
Agua sucia. Love it.
I love it. So yeah, I think for me it's gratitude.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Lauren. Manifestation techniques, or a couple, or your favorite, whatever.
Yeah, I can share a few that I use. I think definitely I have a lot of similar ones to you, but I think I also prefer a variety. So some for me, it's repetitions, written affirmations, visualizations, thought catching, kind of like a mixture of all of that. Because like with the repetitions, I think what I mean is I pay attention to angel numbers a lot, which I know y'all know. And So for me, I happen to look at the clock a lot at different angel numbers. So for me, I kind of use that as like my little reminder throughout the day. Like I have a set of kind of daily affirmations that I go through. So if I look at the clock and it's 1:11, then I'm like, oh, okay. I take a moment, I run through my affirmations, and then I proceed with my day. So like I kind of use that as like a little
Check-in.
reminder throughout the day, a check-in. Because honestly, there's at least once every day, but usually once I hang around my besties and all those like good energetic juices are flowing, I notice that I see more angel numbers like after our hangouts and stuff, because I think there's just like more potency there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I use that. I think with written affirmations, I like to make them colorful or write them in fun ways and like kind of make it a little artsy at the same time and special. But actually, I started using lately these shower affirmation cards. So they're actually like these waterproof cards that you get wet and then you just stick it to the wall of your shower so that as you're like in your, I like the very zen aspect of showering and just like being, like present and feeling the water. I feel like you could tap into a lot of like mindfulness in the shower. And so I just started using these shower affirmation cards. So it's kind of like fun to get creative with where they're at. Visualizations, like I said, I do too. Picturing it. I'm with you. I really like to tap into that feeling. And I think like reflecting back, I was doing this manifestation technique way before I even knew what manifesting was. Like if I was a kid and it was getting on sports teams or, doing good on a test or something, like thinking back, I would literally sit and like visualize like me getting on the volleyball team and like how good I would feel. And I would feel so proud and people would be so excited for it, and it's like, I would do that as a kid. And then now that I know what manifestation was, I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing it all along, right? Like you said, it doesn't turn off. And then what I'm calling thought catching is, I think something that you had mentioned too, where if I have a negative thought or a thought that's not aligned with my goals or dreams, then I just practice catching it and manifesting the opposite. So,
Perfect. Yeah.
Say it's like a money thing and I'm just like, damn, that's expensive. And I'm gonna go, wait, I'm so rich. I have so much money. I don't need to worry about this, right? Like, so like I immediately try to just like switch the mindset.
Nice.
So I would say like those techniques come out in some way, shape, or form daily for me.
I love it. Some good ones, guys. Yes. Manifestation soup for Laura too.
Woo!
Agua sucia. Hey.
Wait, is there a way to say manifestation in Spanish?
Beats me. I'm sure that there is.
Gosh, I'm just realizing I haven't used that word in Spanish. I
don't know.
That's homework for you then.
There we go.
I know. I'm literally going to look it up right now because I'm so curious.
No,
but also, hold on. What? Manifestación.
Manifestación. Okay, I should have known that.
Okay, so manifestación agua sucia. Ooh, that's long.
Agua
that's
sucia.
Like the Google Translate. Yeah. So we'll see if that's actually in real life, like the name of it, Then there's always like slang language.
But
yeah, tell us the Dominican version, Hannah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm interested in that one. Not sure how I'm gonna ask for that to be translated. Jason's grandma's probably gonna look at me like, what? What are you asking me to translate?
Oh, it's such a realization though that I'm a Spanglish speaker, because it's like, oh wow, I could get by. Drop me off in a country only Spanish speakers, I'd survive, but didn't know manifestation. Okay.
You do more than survive. I can attest to that. You
fair.
Thrive, Aylen.
Appreciate it. So, guys, I want to conclude with the understanding that the person, the object, the circumstance that you think you want is not what you're actually manifesting. I want to hone that in. When you get what you want, where do you experience it? Inwardly. You can only ever experience love or happiness on the inside. It's the version of you that has the person, place, or thing that you want. You're wanting to experience the you that has it. And the illusion is that you think that once you have it, then you can finally feel like that version. No, hear me loud and clear. Give yourself permission now. Feel it now. Step into it now. How would that person speak? How would that person go about the day? How would they sit, drive, eat, all of it? Like, allow yourself to be it playfully as much as you can. All you're really doing at the end of the day is stepping out of the movie, the personality, the character, coming back to who you truly are. You are an individualized embodiment of Source. You already are that which you want. It's where you came from. It's where we all came from. It's within each and every one of you. Life force, God, energy, the I am is love, happiness, joy. We originate from peace, harmony, perfection. We come from bliss and fulfillment. So get into that identity as often as you can and see how the outer world will begin to reflect that which you already are. Tapping into that space is the only true desire. The fulfillment is already you. So let that permeate the body. Let that permeate your heart and mind. Tap into that every day and see creation become effortless. So I'll leave our audience today with that. And I'm not going to get into our whole spiel of subscribing and all that jazz. Because you know, friends, you besties out there, if this is a journey for you, those of you who resonate with us will continue to ride with us. So you can reach out to us in all the links provided if you want to work with any of us individually as well. If you're really connected to this episode in particular and want to work with me, you'll find coaching details in our link tree where you can directly get to my Stan store and see what services I provide. But maybe you've been trying to quote unquote manifest and want more guidance or help on your specific story. So if that's the case, check out the Bestie Perspective info. Or if you prefer, you can email us at thebestieperspective@gmail.com. You can put the name of the podcast bestie you'd like to reach out to, Hannah, Lauren, or Aylen. Or reach out with the title Manifestation Madness if it's specific to helping with manifestation after listening to this episode, just so we can filter out emails and filter out those interested in working with me, so I can connect you to my offerings and get you on the path to finally having what you deserve. So join us in our next episode where Hannah will cover the idea of nervous system regulation. It's titled, Your Nervous System Called, It Wants You to Chill. Until next time, besties, keep growing, keep glowing, and remember to always trust in your own bestie perspective.